In this video, I'll be sharing with you a few of the best practices in Talent, and this is going to be a part 1 video wherein I'll take you through the job design. Here are some of the best practices in Talent or in any other tool. Any job design that you do should be easily readable and also writable in case of your future changes. It should be easy to maintain whenever there is a bug or any enhancement. It should be easy to adopt and make changes. It should be dynamic and avoid hard coding of any values. Make use of context, variables, and set those values during the execution, start of the job, during the job. So you should be making use of this dynamic best practice. The next one is the reusability in terms of having all the common components or transformation or calculation inside a joblet or a job, and you can call in your job flow. And the next one is the exception handling. Make sure you have a proper um, error catching mechanism so that you capture all the error messages and everything related to the failure. And the next one is the audit. This is to ensure what time your job has started, ended. In case of any error, capture those timestamps and store it in your audit database or table. So for today, we'll be concentrating on these topics, but I have more to come. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and keep learning. I'm on the Talent Studio now, and I have a job to demonstrate the best practices in Talent. So starting with, we have a pre-job. So this component indicates that all the tasks that are connected to this component are executed before the main subjob is executed. So this is where you will be printing any start of the job or making all the database connections. Check whether if your input file is exist, and if not, you can even have a decision to end the job with the appropriate error message. You can have that also here. And if you are using any global variables, you can set those values in the pre-job. And also if you are making use of any context variables, there are two ways. Either you directly go to your project properties, and either you select the implicit context load so that it is applicable for the entire job in that project, or if you have any job level, you can select here too. So there are two ways: implicit, or you can just explicitly load your context variables in your Talent job. So these are all about the pre-job. And also, as you can see, it is always a good practice to include a note section that indicates what this job does on the top. And you may want to add relevant notes appropriately based on the function it is doing. So in my case, I'm loading the context variable, so I added this portion here. And these sections are used for audit capturing, so I have added a capture notes here with audit capture, what it does and how it does. As you can see, I have added a title here, so this can be added when you go to component basic setting. So there is a show subjob title. Here you can actually write what this subjob is doing. So this is one way to do it. Or anyways, we added a note section here, or a title. And also for each of the components, you are it's a best practice to add appropriate namings as well. So in my case, I'll show you when you go to component and when you go to view. So this is the label which will be giving it to all the components. So put appropriate label here. It will be really easy and to understand what this particular component does, what it is, and what are we trying to do here. And if you see, even the links can have proper messages. So these are my matched upsets, and this section, this link is basically to capture all the mismatch records. These proper namings will be really helpful for the new team member or for anybody who is reviewing your code, or even future reference purposes also. And this is my main job, main sub job. This is where I'll be doing a lookup. Basically, I'm reading a table, SQL table, and then doing a lookup against a file. And if there is a match, I'll be loading the data to the final target. If there are any mismatches or any issues with this lookup, then we have an error table that will be capturing the regex from the inner join. So this is the sub job. You can have custom audit framework here. Either you can have in terms of standard job that you can execute using the t run job component. So as you can see, you can execute it via the t run job component, or if you're using the data integration, the enterprise version, you can create a joblet that does a common operations, right? You can even involve database creation steps. Let's say, for example, for all the audit framework, you have a table, centralized audit table, wherein you can start the start of the job, and in case if it fails, then you have a sub job or a joblet that takes care of updating the error message. And finally, you may have one sub job or a joblet that will take care of updating the started entry to success. You can even further simplify it by having just one joblet or a job and pass the relevant statuses here. You can even pass the parameters. So let's say the status, you can include a column called status, and you can pass the status as start here, and for this one you can pass it as error, and this one maybe you can mention it as success. So this whole topic is big, so I'll be making a new video to talk about the complete audit framework and how we can make use of the audit framework. So basically in this best practice, it's always a good idea to have all your audit information captured appropriately, and also you must have the error handling part also. So if you look at this section here, this is to capture the error messages. So let's say in case of any error arising out of this job, either the target, source, or lookup, or any other data truncation, or any other errors, we need to have a standard log catcher. This is the minimalistic component which you can use to capture all the errors. In this example, I'm just writing it to console, but you can have it written to a database or a file or any other places that you want to have it. All right, so and the last section is about the post job. So in this post job, as you can see, we have started capturing the start time, and we had SQL Server connections and all. So at the end of the job, you must be closing the connection. You must be closing. You must be committing the changes and also close the connection. This is very important step. You must be doing it. Otherwise, you will have a lot of lingering connections on the database. And also, if you're using any files, make sure you archive it in a separate folder. And you can even have some custom messages for the completion of the job. So in my case, I'm just printing the end time. It can be anything. You can make use of tjava component and add your custom messages. So the bottom line is the best practice is to have appropriate notes and comments in wherever sections possible, and also try to arrange your job properly so that when somebody reads your job, it should be really neat and easy to understand. So you may want to start with all the pre-job steps, and then the main job, and the corresponding audit, and the corresponding error handling part, and the final post job where you will be closing all the connections or archiving the file and things like that. So that's all for this best practices. I hope you like it. Thank you.